Hello dear students, how are you doing? Hope you are fine and everything is okay with you at home. Today's lesson is going to be a review of the first two units in your textbook. Check it to English number 1 for first year baccalaureate students. Okay then, let's get started. So please first bring out your textbooks and go straight forward to page number 35. So the first exercise there, letter A. We are going to see the past habit, okay? As you know, the form of the past habit is as follows, as you can see on your screen. So here it is. Used to, the affirmative form, okay? So we use the form used to with all the personal pronouns, okay? Without exception. And then it's followed by the bare infinitive form of the verb. Then the negative form is didn't use to, so pay attention here, didn't use to, and it is used with all the pronouns, okay, just like the affirmative form, and it is followed by the bare infinitive as well. Now, the interrogative form, as you can see here, so we start our sentence with the auxiliary to do in the past form, did, okay, then here use to plus the bare infinitive form of the verb. So as you know, we use the past habit form to talk about habits that we used to do in the past. I'm going to give you an example. For example, someone who was addicted to smoking, okay, is going to say, I used to smoke, okay, but now I don't smoke anymore. Okay? And like this. Now, let's move to exercise A, as I've stated earlier. So here we have 4 sentences. They express habits in the past. Okay? Now, you are going to rewrite these sentences using the expression used to. So in the first one we have Hamid doesn't smoke anymore, which means that he was addicted to smoking but now he doesn't smoke. So try to reformulate this sentence, okay, using the past habit form or the expression used to. The second one, Rashid gave up. So to give up means to stop. Okay? When you give up something, you stop doing something. Like for example, I gave up smoking, which means I stopped smoking. So gave up his hobby of collecting stamps. So as you know, collecting stamps is a hobby. Okay? And so many people are fond of collecting stamps. Now, sentence C. So here we have the Smiths have moved from Morocco, which means that they lived in Morocco and they moved elsewhere. Okay? So try to reformulate this sentence using the expression used to. And the last one, D. So Leila resigned from work. Resign from work when we stop going to work, okay? So Leila resigned from work after her illness, which means that she went to her work before she was ill. But now, once she is ill, she no longer goes to work, okay? So that's why she resigned. So please try to reformulate the 4 sentences using the expression used to. Okay then, So let's start the correction. Here you are. Now, as you have seen, in the first sentence we have Hamid doesn't, which means at the moment or in the present time, doesn't smoke anymore, which means he stopped smoking. He was addicted to smoking, but now he doesn't smoke anymore. So here you are. Hamid used to smoke, okay? He used to smoke in the past. So smoking was a habit in Hamid's life in the past. Now the second one, Rashid gave up his hobby of collecting stamps, which means he stopped collecting stamps. Okay, so here you are. Rashid used to collect stamps. Okay, he had the habit of collecting stamps. Now the third one. See, the Smiths. The Smiths have moved from Morocco. Yes, here you are. The Smiths used to live in Morocco, but now they don't live in Morocco anymore, which means they have moved elsewhere. Well, the third one is Leila resigned from work after her illness. So here, Leila used to, okay, she was used to, which means going to work was a daily habit to her. Okay, so Leila used to work before her illness. It means that she doesn't go to work now because she is ill. I think that it's clear for you now. So let's move to something else. Yes, pronouns. So in the following exercise, we're going to see the difference between personal pronouns, which are in the first column. Okay, so here you are. You have I, you, he, she, it. Those pronouns are singular, and we have three ones which are plural: we, you, and they. And as you know, we use these pronouns as subjects of sentences, okay? So when we want to start a sentence, we use one of these as a subject. That's why we call them subject personal pronouns. And we have also object personal pronouns, which means personal pronouns that are put in the place of objects in a sentence. So the equivalent of I is me, the equivalent of you is you, the equivalent of he is him, the equivalent of she is her, and the equivalent of it doesn't change. So for the plural ones, the equivalent of we is us, the equivalent of you is you, and the equivalent of they is them. Okay? Now, in the second column, as you see there on your screens, we have a list of possessive adjectives. Okay? Possessive adjectives. And as you know, an adjective modifies a noun. So we use these or those adjectives before nouns. So the equivalent of I is my. For example, my name. So name is a noun, we put my before name. So your, which is the equivalent of you, okay? And by the way, the express possession, when you possess something, like your book, okay? The book that you possess or that you own. So his, okay, the equivalent of he, her, okay, her. For example, her name is Matilda, okay? So it's, which is the equivalent of it. Now our, the equivalent of we, okay? So our country is Morocco, okay? Yes, your, it's just like the singular form, okay? Both are similar. And the last one, the equivalent of they is their, okay? Their. Now, in the third column, you can see here, reflexive pronouns, okay? These pronouns, we use them for the sake of emphasis, when we want to emphasize something, okay? So, myself is the equivalent of I. Yourself is the equivalent of you. Himself, the equivalent of he. Herself is the equivalent of she. Itself is the equivalent of it. So these are singular. Now the plural ones are as follows. Ourselves, as you can see here, so the word self is in the plural form because these pronouns are plural. So we no longer use self in the singular form, we put it in the plural form, it becomes selves with V-E-S, okay, at the end. So ourselves, yourselves, and the last one is themselves, okay? So please go straight forward to exercise B on page 35, okay? So here you are, the table. Okay then. Now exercise B, page 35. So the instruction is there. Fill in the blank, okay, in each sentence with the right pronoun from the list. So for each sentence you've got 3 choices. To try to choose the appropriate pronoun to fill in the blank, okay? So I'm going to read the sentences for you to make things clear. So A, we have despite. As you know, despite it expresses concession, even if or although, okay? So despite her parents complaints, which means her parents, they complain a lot, okay? For example, when she makes mistakes, they complain about her. So despite her parents' mistakes, Fayuna, okay? Fayuna is a girl, decided to live by, she decided to live alone, okay? So to live by plus pronoun means alone. So Fayuna decided to live by in New York City, which means she decided to move from her parents' house, okay, and to live alone. Now for me, I can't understand. Maybe something is difficult and you can't understand, you can't grasp, you can't get the meaning. I can't understand, so we can't understand someone, or sometimes we can't understand something when she speaks German with them. Okay? Maybe when someone speaks German, you don't come to understand him or her. C, he should, okay? He ought to be proud of, okay? To feel pride. To be proud of. So when we realize success, we feel proud of ourselves. Okay? Now D, we came across a friend, which means we met a friend of, okay, one of our friends. So we came across a friend of at the market, maybe the supermarket, yesterday. Then E, each plan, so every plan has merits, okay? And F, the friends enjoy, you feel at ease, okay? The friends enjoyed a lot at the party. So we use this expression to enjoy oneself. Okay, you enjoy yourself, you enjoy it, etc. Yes, so let's start the correction. Letter A. Despite her parents' complaints, so as I have stated, Fiona is a girl. Fiona decided to live by, we have her, we have herself, and she. Okay? So here you are. Yes, Fiona decided to live by herself. You can say also, I decided to live by myself, which means I decided to move away from my parents' house and to live alone. Yes, so for B, I can't understand when she, so pay attention to the she there, which means we're going to use a personal pronoun in the female form. So here we have her and me, him and me and myself. Okay, so here we have him, male, me, myself, maybe this one, let's check. Yes, so I can't understand her when she speaks German with me. Now see, he should be proud of, and once again here we have he, a man, is talking about himself. So he should be proud of himself. Then here D, we came across, we met a friend of ours at the market yesterday. Now each plan has, so plan, it's an object, it's not a human being, which means we are going to use a pronoun that goes with the objects. So here we have it, which is the personal pronoun. Here itself, reflexive pronoun, and it's the possessive adjective. So here we have the merits of the plan. Here is a kind of possession, okay? So each plan has its merits, the merits of the plan. Now the last one, F, the friends enjoyed a lot at the party. We have their selves, which I think that it doesn't fit. Their plus selves, okay? So here we have themselves, reflexive pronoun, and they. As I have said earlier, they takes the place or the position of the subject. And in the blank here, we don't need the subject, okay? So the friends enjoyed themselves a lot at the party. That's it. I hope that everything is clear. Now let's move to something else. Yes, here you are. So let's go to exercise C on the same page, page 35. So here we have a set of sentences. Okay, the instruction is as follows. We have put the verbs between brackets. So here brackets in the correct form. Okay, which means in the correct tense. We are going to conjugate the verbs which are between brackets in the correct tense. So let's have a look at the sentences which are there. We have Christopher Columbus and discover. This is the verb, to discover, which means to find something for the first time. America, okay, the American continent, in and 1492, which means we have here the preposition in, preposition of time, something that was in the past, which means we're going to put the verb here between brackets in the past, simple past. Now B, we spend, the verb to spend, the previous weekend, which means the last weekend, in the mountain. Once again, we're going to put the verb in the simple past. Now see, we have the kids eat breakfast hastily, and we have go to the zoo around 9 this morning. Suppose now it's afternoon, so 9 this morning is a time which is in the past. Okay? Then D, so try to pay attention here, because here we are going to have an interrogative sentence, okay, which means there will be some change concerning the structure of this sentence. So here we have you, which is the subject, and C, the verb. Yesterday's football match. The football match of yesterday. Simple past as well. Now here, I'd like you to pay attention as well, because we have not go, which means the verb to go in the negative form. So the subject is we, out at all yesterday. So as a conclusion, all the verbs which are in this exercise are going to be put in the simple past. And as you know, we use the simple past tense to talk about an action that took place in the past and it is over in the past. Concerning the form or the forms of verbs, so as you know, we have two types or categories of verbs. We have regular verbs, okay? Those verbs who have a rule and to which we add either D, ED, or IDD or IED at the end. Then we have irregular verbs, those who don't have a rule at all, and you can check them in the list that you have at the end of your books. Okay, we'll come back. So let's start the correction. So here you are. For number 1, Christopher Columbus. So the verb is discover. The past of discover is discovered America in 1492. Christopher Columbus discovered America in 1492. Then sentence letter B, we have we spend, so the verb is spend the previous weekend in the mountain. Here you are. We spent, the verb to spend is an irregular verb, okay? So we form the simple past by putting T in the place of D at the end. Then the third one, C, the kids, we have the verb eat breakfast hastily. And the second verb is go to the zoo around 9 this morning. Here you are. The kids, so the first verb, here it is, ate. Okay, the past of eat is ate, eats, an irregular verb. Breakfast hastily and went, the verb to go, went to the zoo around 9 this morning. Then sentence D. So in sentence D, as I told you before, the form of this sentence is interrogative. So you need to start by the auxiliary, the subject, and then you put the verb just in the infinitive form. Here you are. Did you see yesterday's football match? And don't forget the question mark at the end of this sentence. Now the last one, E. So here you need to put the verb in the negative form. Okay, it's going to be a little bit different. So here you are. We didn't, the auxiliary to do in the simple past, negative form, plus the bare infinitive form of the verb. So we didn't go out at all yesterday. Okay, that's all for this part. Let's see something else. Now here, so you need to fill in the blanks with the appropriate articles. As you know, articles in English are divided into two parts. We have the indefinite articles, a and n, and we have the definite article, which is the the, and sometimes we don't put any article at all. In this case, we call it a zero article. So I'm going to read the sentences for you. The first one, A, Brahim likes horses. So pay attention here. Horses is in the plural form, which means that we can't use here A or N, because these two articles we put them before singular nouns, okay? So it's no way to put an indefinite article before a plural noun. B, here, whose broken red vase. So here we have this adjective, which is the color red, okay? And it defines the vase, which means that the vase is known. We are talking about a specific vase whose color is red, okay? For C, it is so pleasant to read in. So here we have afternoon, which is a part of the day. And for some parts of the day, we use the definite article the, like evening, afternoon, okay? And after, here we have lunch, okay? So the grocer is the shop from where we buy grocery. For example, if you want to buy tea, coffee, sugar, oil, okay, you go to the groceries. Opposite, next to, in front of, opposite. Library always sells fresh vegetables, okay? Yes, let's start the correction. So for A, we have Brahim likes. Yes, he likes horses in general, okay? So in this case, we are not going to use any article at all, okay? So the sign here stands for zero article, which means no article at all. B, who's broken, as I've stated before, red vase, okay? So the vase is known and its color is red. Of course, the, okay? Now for C, it's so pleasant to read in the afternoon after lunch, okay? Lunch is here in general, okay? For the grocer, the green grocer, which means we are talking about a specific green grocer, okay? Or the grocer, specific grocer. The grocer opposite what? Then the library here is known, okay, which means we know which library we are talking about. The grocer opposite the library always sells fresh, so vegetables in general. We are talking about vegetables in general, so it's zero article. Now let's move to something else, functions. So here we have statements, okay, A, B, C, D. So you need to match them to sentences or their responses 1, 2, 3, 4, okay. Try to pay attention to the meaning of the sentences which are in the first part and the sentences which are in the second part. So try to match them as far as the functions are concerned, okay? So I'm going to read them for you. So here for A we have I think, okay? I think, maybe I'm sure, I'm not sure, okay? So it's kind of proposal. So I think watching TV is a waste of time, okay? So this is just a personal point of view, okay? It may be true, it may be false, it's debatable. Then hitchhiking. Hitchhiking is a word that we use, for example, when we want to travel and we are broke, we don't have money. and we ask people for a ride, of course for free. So hitchhiking is the cheapest way of traveling. So if you want to travel for free, you can ask people for a ride, and which we call hitchhiking. Now, see, it seems to me that tennis, so it seems to me, like the first one, it seems to me that tennis is the most popular sport. It's a personal opinion, personal point of view, okay? Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. And D, I find chatting, chatting means talking to people on the net via social media websites or applications. So I find chatting on the net means the internet, too exciting, okay? Yes, the responses are here. You are right, which means you agree with the statement. You are right, but it may be, okay, maybe, possibility here, but it may be dangerous sometimes, okay, sometimes. It's not dangerous all the time, but sometimes. Yes, here, quite the contrary, okay? Quite, to some extent. Quite the contrary, it's our main source, okay, the only source of news. News, if you want to know about what's going on all over the world, okay, so you listen to the news on the radio or you watch the news bulletin on TV. Then number 3, I agree, which means it's okay, I agree. It's very entertaining, it's very amusing indeed. In fact, here, I don't agree, which is the opposite of I agree. I don't agree. Football, okay, football is certainly the most popular, okay. So pay attention, here we have a football, which is sports. And maybe I'm going to link it to the statement here that talks about kind of sports. Okay, so let's check the answers. The first one, I think watching TV is a waste of time. Yes, here you are. We're going to match it to response number 2. Quite the contrary, it's our main source of news. Then the hitchhiking is the cheapest way of traveling. It's number 1. You are right, which means you agree with this statement, and it's for sure the cheapest way of travel. You don't pay anything at all. You only ask people for a free ride. So it's number 1. You are right, but it may be dangerous sometimes. Okay, you may have some problems. Then it seems to me that tennis is the most popular sport, the most popular, superlative form. And here we have sports. So if you go to number 4, and here you have football. Yes, it seems to me, okay, I don't agree, football is certainly the most popular. Then the last one, okay, so I think it's clear. It's number 3. I find chatting on the net so exciting. Yes, I agree. It's very entertaining indeed. But you should limit the time you spend chatting on the net, okay? Yes. Let's move on. So once again, you are going to respond or to write your own sentences about these situations. So exercise number 2, it's on page 36. So here you are, exercise 2, page 36, textbooks, take it to English 1. So how would you complain to these people? You are going to complain, which means you don't feel at ease, okay? So for A, we have a restaurant manager, a person who manages a restaurant. You are going to complain because the service wasn't good enough. You were not satisfied about the service, okay? Then for B, the train warden, okay? Person who is responsible on board of a train. He checks people's tickets, etc. So the train warden, because the person is smoking in a non-smoking compartment, okay? There is a person who is smoking and you want to complain about him to the train warden. Okay? Now, for C, the parents of a boy who has broken your window pane. Maybe a boy who was playing outside on the streets and he broke the window pane. Okay, so their parents are going to complain about this boy's behavior or misbehavior indeed. Yes, so let's go straight to the correction. So here you are. This is just an example, so you can express your complaint like this. A, I'm sorry to say this, but, okay, the food is horrible. Okay. Then B, I have a complaint about a person who is smoking. Could you do something about it, please? Okay. And C, sorry to bother you, sorry to disturb you, but your boy broke my window pane. Okay, that's it. Now here, so the verbs which are underlined in this exercise are misplaced there, and the meaning is not as clear. So you are going to replace the wrong underlined words. Yes, we have words, we have verbs, and we have nouns, we have phrases. So try to replace the wrong underlined words with the right ones from your minds. So for A, we have, we're passing a test tomorrow. As you know, to pass a test means to succeed. And here we're not going to mean succeed, but to have a test, okay? Then B, congratulations, you've succeeded your exams, okay? So we don't succeed, we succeed. To succeed has a different meaning, but here it doesn't fit, okay? It's misplaced. Try to search for another word that fits here. Now, Hamza got quite good. For example, when you sit for an exam, we don't say notes. At maths this year, and the public schools. So in Morocco, we have two types of schools. We have public schools, and we have private schools. So in private schools, students pay fees, okay, to attend their classes. So public schools are run by, okay, those who are responsible, are run by individual investors, like businessmen. Okay, so pay attention here, we have public schools. They belong to the state. Yes, let's get started. So here you are. We are sitting for a test tomorrow. When we have a test, we use the verb to sit for a test. We don't use to pass. Number 2, congratulations, you've passed your exam. Okay? So when we have a mark which is above the average, it means that we passed an exam. Then here, Hamza got quite good marks. Okay, so we don't say notes. We use marks, and sometimes we use also grades. So for example, a mark, it can be 10, 11, 16, 17. And grades are, for example, A, B, C, etc. At maths this year. And here public schools are run by the Ministry of Education. So the Ministry of Education is responsible for the management of the public schools in our country. Yes, that's it. So I wish you good luck. Keep safe and see you next time, inshallah. Bye bye.